All right. Here we are. Impact and Influence Radio. My name is Jon Robert Quinn, and today's broadcast is brought to you by Blinds of Sacramento, hanging out here with an old friend, Jim Kaspari. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
It's good to reconnect.
Absolutely.
Has it not been fun?
It has.
And then seeing you pull up to the BBB Open House Mixer, that was pretty gnarly, dude.
Thanks. And it was just so much fun playing music together.
We did, didn't we?
Yes.
I should have brought my guitar today. I didn't even think about it.
I got mine in the truck.
You always have yours in the truck. Do you take it everywhere?
No, fortunately today's going to be less than 90 degrees or around, right around there. I don't like to have it in my truck if it's more than that.
Yeah. So you're playing an old Martin.
Yes.
What year is it?
I don't know, but it's at least 10 years old.
It's the guitar that I've always
dream.
wanted. It's one that I've always wanted. I've never had one.
It just has a rich sound.
Yeah. I'm playing. You're gonna laugh, but I'm playing little Squire Stratocasters again.
Those are awesome.
They're the
Classic.
best. They're the best guitars on the planet, in my opinion. You know, I was playing Paul Reed Smith for a long time. And PRSs are great guitars. They're finicky, and I played Ibanez for a long time. Great guitars, but they're finicky. A Fender Stratocaster, even the Squires, the little cheap $200, $250 ones. Phenomenal.
They're bomber and great sound.
They play great. They have a great sound. They feel good. They're robust. You can tour with them, and then you can throw it away when you're done.
Yep.
I usually just donate them, give them to kids or whatever.
Oh, that's awesome.
No, I've probably given away 40, 50 guitars over the years.
Wow.
Yeah, just give them. Yeah. So, all right. So let's talk about what you're doing. It's Peak Business Coaching, if I remember correctly.
That's absolutely correct.
And you were starting. So there's a little bit of history here. You were starting this business when you were on my old radio show when I was on Money 105.5 many, many years ago, way before COVID. So somewhere probably around 2017, 2018, you were starting this business, if I remember correctly.
I'll make a slight correction on that. I was restarting the business. I moved down here because I was dating somebody and I was living in the Tahoe area.
Okay.
So I knew one person, my cousin in Carmichael. And so it was, get the word out. How can I help people? Who can I help the most? You were gracious enough to have me on your radio show then. And it's been taken off and doing really well. I've been business coaching for 20 years.
Okay, so
I've written 5 books over that period of time.
Okay,
and probably coached over. This is an old number, but over 600 CEOs, entrepreneurs.
That's friggin' awesome, dude.
Yeah, thank you.
No, that is friggin' awesome. And it's so funny because you come in here. I'm a veteran. I've been doing this 27 years. And you come in here and you're like, all right, so tell me what you're doing. And I'm like, oh, I love this. He's going to rip this thing apart. I know I'm going to learn something today. And then you start asking me all these things and you're like, I'm not trying to be intrusive. I'm like, no. Yeah, I'm good. I know I'm going to learn something. This is where you humble yourself and you say, you know what? Listen to the guy. He knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, and I like to ask questions rather than say, you should do blank because that doesn't work. And nobody likes it.
Nobody likes it. Yeah. That's still, unfortunately, I still have that problem. I still tell people what they should do.
That's the easy way. So I have to do a lot of self-awareness, self-management. And I just want to mention Peak Business Coaching has a tagline, unlimited profits and more free time. I honestly think that's the holy grail. And I was talking to somebody this morning and he had some experience living in Europe, and he said there they work to live. Here, a lot of Americans live to work, and I think there's health issues, there's marital issues with that kind of lifestyle.
Well, one of the books that I wrote was 4-Hour Workday. It's done very, very, very well, and it's not about working 4 hours a day. That's not what the book is about. It's about finding the balance between work and home life and not missing the ballet recital, not missing the anniversary, not missing the birthdays, not missing Mother's Day.
Yeah,
That's what
your
it's
kid's
about.
childhood is
Exactly.
gonna zip by.
100%. So, yeah, you know what? You want to work 12 hours, good. Work your 12-hour day. I have days where I work 12 hours because I'm having a friggin' blast. And I know that my wife, she's out at the winery with her girlfriend. She's having fun. I can do what I love to do. But then I can take that time away. I can come to work my 3 or 4 or 5 hours, whatever I need to do to get the job done for the day, and then go and take care of my family. And I think that is success. That is being rich. It's not how much money is in your bank account, because these guys have billions and they're miserable.
Totally.
Right? And it can't go anywhere. They can't do anything. They're under scrutiny all the time. But you get a guy, look at a homeless person. He has nothing. Look at one of these people that lives in the slums in Brazil. They have nothing, but they're happy. And I think the big kicker for me was, seeing COVID. People were dancing in the streets and singing and rejoicing. And I'm thinking, it's a miserable time, but life wasn't miserable for them. It was miserable for us because we're living in this prison that we create, which is, society of we have to have everything expensive, and we have to have the house, and we have to have the Bentley, and the whole thing.
Yeah, that is a prison. It's a trap. And I'm flashing back to the kind of late 1980s.
Mm-hmm.
I had just graduated from college, and I got to do a research project with lizards with a zoology professor from UC Davis.
Mm-hmm.
And I met a family who lived in the jungle. One of their walls of their house was an actual billboard. Plywood. They had a tin roof. They swept the floor clean, and the floor was dirt.
Mm-hmm.
And I was fortunate enough to go have dinner with them, and we had so much fun. There were fruit and vegetables from the forest, or the jungle, I should
Mm-hmm.
say.
Mm-hmm.
Seafood from the ocean, and we lived like quarter mile from Grand Anse Beach,
Mm-hmm.
there where the med school is. And that forever instilled in me the lesson that money is not happiness.
No, 100% it's not.
We sang songs after dinner. We had dessert. They were some of the most generous people that had very little.
Mm-hmm.
And it just stuck with me. And talking about prison, talking about relationship issues related to money, I think that's why I do what I do. Money isn't the answer, as we know,
Mm-hmm.
but money does buy freedom. It buys choices, and it allows for a richer experience. And if there's not a lack of money, or there's not fighting about money, then relationships can be better.
Mm-hmm.
I heard that roughly 50% or maybe more of marital issues involve something to do with finance. And my parents, admittedly wonderful people, but they had differences of opinion around
Mm-hmm.
money and would fight about it. And
Mm-hmm.
I was the oldest. I had 2 little sisters and a little brother, and I tried to protect them from that vibe
Mm-hmm.
as an older brother. And I think to this day, I want to help families. I want to help business
Yeah, my
owners.
wife and I, we don't fight. My wife's Russian, and the audience, I've told my story a million times, but maybe you know or don't know, I was homeless when I met my wife, business failure, and I didn't have any parents. My parents have never been around, and I have no family. They've never been around. And then, I meet my wife's family, and they just became mom and dad. And the sister gave me a place to stay. Crashed in her and her husband's, couch while I was getting my feet up back off the ground from losing my motorcycle stores. And, started building, realistically, I was building this. I started building a media company and started the radio shows and all that stuff. You go back, that's what, 13 years ago. And, my wife and I, we don't fight about money, because my wife's parents, they came here from over from Uzbekistan with no money. So it was about values. So the kids were all raised with values. And then me seeing nothing but fighting and violence my entire childhood and not having anybody around me in my adult, I always said, well, if I ever get married, I'm getting married once. But I learned from my father's mistakes, my mom and dad's mistakes, that, you know, that's not how you do it. You have to do it this way. And my wife and I, we don't fight. We have, you know, we have our little issue probably once or twice a year, our little thing. And usually it happens over text message. And then we sort it out. Usually takes us 2 or 3 days. We sort it out.
Yeah, that's
and then
that's
great.
normal.
Yes, you have to have disagreements.
Yeah.
But no, we have a very, very simple, quiet life at home. No TV in the house. We listen to Mozart and stuff. We have a little clip speaker thing that we just put our classical or our jazz music on when we're at home. Piano music, a lot of Stefan Macchio.
Beautiful.
And we just sit there and listen to our stuff and read our books, or, you know, talk or whatever.
You know, yesterday I was reading a chapter out of the book Traction, famous for the entrepreneurial operating system, and they talk about having the right people in your company, and they all have the right people in the right seat on the bus, you know, heading towards your vision and goals. And the number one selection criteria were core values for having the right people in the company. And I think it goes for interpersonal relationships as well. Friends.
Yeah. Friends. Absolutely. 100%. Absolutely. I have a very, very small circle of friends. And it's funny because I've got friends in low places, friends in high places. And, but they're all there for different reasons. And one of the things that I've found is the friends in low places are more generous than the friends in high places.
Interesting.
Very, very interesting. The guy lives at home with his mom, has a car that barely runs, digs ditches, is a side project, is a side gig for friends and family, and then will call me and go, hey, how's the business? How's everything going? If you need any money, just let me know. I'm not taking your money, dude. You know, but the point is that it's there, right? And you know, and it's always an I love you when I get off the phone.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and it's crazy. But then
and you never know what's going to happen, you know.
You never know where life's going to take you either.
Right.
You know how I met him? I was the first responder at his motorcycle accident. He T-boned a car. He was in bad shape, broke both arms, both legs. He was bleeding out of his helmet. And I was on a vehicle test drive at BMW. Jumped out of the car, ran over there. The salesman sitting in the car, like, what are you doing, dude? Ran over there, and he had muttered his name. And I just eventually went home and looked him up on Facebook and sent him a message, and it was like 2 months later he sends me a message from the hospital.
Wow.
And we've just been brothers ever since.
I'm so glad that he
Isn't
made
it
it.
how life happens like
Yeah,
that, though? Isn't that
completely.
a beautiful thing?
It is.
So, all right, so let's talk about what got you into this business.
I had a 20-year career at Genentech. I was fortunate enough to retire at 44. This was in 2005, 20 years ago. And we had
You're 64 now?
63.
You look friggin' awesome for 63, bro.
I
would have never known. I'm doing the math and I'm like, there's no way.
I think it is living, you know, walking the talk, or I should say running the talk.
Yeah.
I love to run. I love to play music. I love hanging out with friends.
So you were at Genentech.
So I was at Genentech. Yeah, I was just talking about the balance, you know, that I think it makes me look healthy. And we had a little club that met on Friday after work in this guy's garage, and we had whiteboards all over the walls, and we would brainstorm different businesses, success principles, investing opportunities, and I joined a 1-year mentoring program with a guru in the industry for investing in entrepreneurialism. And halfway through that year, she identified me as somebody she wanted to be a coach for her organization. So I ended up coaching hundreds of people over a 10-year period. And,
wow.
And ultimately branched off on my own, and I've been doing it ever since. I really think it's my calling.
You know, it's so funny. I think that you look at people like Michael Jordan, you know, Donald Trump, Oprah Winfrey, Barack Obama. You look at some of these amazing people, and you couldn't picture them doing anything other than what they're doing. They're in this world for a reason. That new girl that plays basketball, the women's NBA, I don't remember her name, but
I know who you're talking about.
The one who was always having issues with Angel Reese. You know, I don't remember her name. It starts with a C, I want to say. But you know, you couldn't picture, you can't picture these people in another space.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing what they should be doing. And you found that. You found that where you should be.
Yep.
A lot of people never figure that out.
And
Most people never figure that out.
And a lot of entrepreneurs try to figure things out on their own, which is admirable.
Myself included.
But Olympians, pro athletes,
everyone has a coach.
Wouldn't dream of it. It would be not fathomable to have a coach.
Yeah.
So there's a little psychology going on with entrepreneurs and business owners. And what I love to do is take people that are like, okay, uncle, and they haven't totally given up. They still have hopes, dreams, visions, goals, but they're running low on new ideas, and take them out of their frustration, out of their pain, and suffering, and bring them to a place of abundance and growth. And then with that growth becomes streamlining operations, getting the right team in place, getting recurring income, the right pricing, basically taking them from where they're at to where they want to go faster and easier.
Mm-hmm. It's tough, though. It's tough as a small business to give up that control. You know, we all have the idea, right? You know, with the magazine Impact and Influence.
And that's my job, to edify my clients. I'm Batman's, is it Arthur?
I don't know. You're the boss man in the back room?
No, not the boss man. I'm the guy that sets up the business owner for success.
Okay.
And you know, not to be like manipulative or tricky or anything, but I do my best to have them be on a path of discovery and them come up with the idea and own the idea, because then when they do it and it succeeds,
it's a passion.
They feel great.
Yeah. Yeah. That is so deep. That is so deep. I'm serious. You're like, I know.
No, it's just the training and the experience that I've been through.
That is incredible, dude.
And I'd rather be the person in the background. And I love the gratitude. I love the acknowledgement for the support that I give. I live for that. But and sometimes I get more excited than my clients. So.
Yeah. People ask me, like the car thing. You excited? No. It's just another tool, man. It's just a journey. I'm so hyper focused right now on where I'm at in my life. And it's so funny because you asked Mercedes. Do you get a No, I didn't get a I got a Buick. Why a Buick?
It's interesting
when
because
you knew me
over the years, I've seen you in Mercedes.
In Porsches.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And, but it's always been, when you're young, life is about flash. It is. When you're building a business, you want your name in lights. You want the Bentley. You want the big house on the hill. You want all these certain things. As you get older, you know this because you've gotten older. But as you get older, you change. When you hit 40, your body changes, and you wake up and your mindset's different. Everything, it's almost like a reset. When the day I turned 40, it wasn't like a midlife crisis where it was like, okay, I'm a different person now. It was just a thought process was changing. It was the Tim McGraw song, I'm going to eat less salads and not so many beer, eat more salads, not so many beers, that kind of thing.
Exactly.
You just change your thinking.
Yeah.
And instead of going, okay, I want to be rich and famous, you go, all right, I want legacy.
Yeah.
I want the same thing, but I want it for different reasons, and I want it different ways.
And what I've noticed is I'm really committed to having a calm life.
Yeah, well, listen to the show.
Like less drama.
Listen to how simple the show is.
Right.
Yes.
And so it's a simple life, and it's about the core values that we talked about.
Correct.
About love, about friendship, about helping others.
Are you a TV person? You watch television?
I don't.
Do you own a TV?
I do, but I just watch movies on it.
Yeah, see, I don't even watch movies.
But I read every single day.
Every day, all day long.
2 or 3 books at a time.
Yeah.
Because I
I
want to be the best that I can be.
I have very long conversations with ChatGPT almost unhealthily long conversations, several hours.
It's an incredible tool.
Several hours a day I'm talking to ChatGPT because it helps you figure out who you are and why you're doing what you're doing. And you run into a problem with somebody, and you can go into ChatGPT, and it remembers your past conversations. So it starts to figure out your identity, about your personality, and what your interests are, and what makes you tick. And you have a problem with somebody, and you can say, well, this is what happened. This is how I reacted, blah, 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 blah. And then it'll tell you, well, maybe next time you should react this way. I have a brother-in-law that I don't get along with very much. We haven't fought or anything. We have different ideals.
Right.
Okay. So the conversations, I'll have a conversation. Okay, I've got to go meet with my brother-in-law, blah, 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 blah. And it'll remind me, okay, well, when this question arises, because he always asks the same, he's very, very intrusive. He'll ask things like, what's your interest rate? It's none of your business, but how do you tell somebody it's none of your business without it being rude? Mm-hmm. You say something like, there's a couple of different angles you can take, and this is good for business. It goes back to what you're talking about, but you can say something like, I would prefer to keep this between my wife and I.
Yeah.
Just being respectful,
yeah,
but without saying it. Or, so tell me about this or tell me about that. Well, once we're done here, let's sit and let's chat. And then just never go back to it.
Right.
Right. There's respectful ways of doing it. But, I love what you're doing, dude. I love what you're doing. I love the calmness. It's really what I have brought into my life is that calmness. A lot of people
comment on the groundedness, calmness, and just being myself, being genuine. There's no surprises.
You're thinking.
Mm-hmm.
You're a thinker.
Always.
Yeah, you're a thinker. Have you always been that way?
I don't know.
I've always been a really super deep thinker.
I haven't ever thought about it. I just, there's common success principles and there's common pitfalls. Uh-huh. And human nature is a big part of the coaching. Of course, a part of the coaching is where are you? Where do you want to go? What are the steps to get there? But actually doing what it takes to get there is where the coaching comes in handy.
Have you ever done any of those IQ tests and so forth? I
haven't, but my genetic father had an IQ of 150.
Yeah, let's say you're probably a kind of a brainiac. You have this, I know it's a sour subject right now because the guy's in politics, but you have kind of an Elon Muskish kind of approach to you where you're very, when a question comes in, you don't react, you act.
Thank you.
You think through the question. There was an interview I saw of Elon Musk, and I don't remember who it was, asked him a kind of a tough question. And Elon Musk didn't respond. He sat there for I think it was 22 seconds. And then he said what he needed to say. And I was just thinking to myself, the control there. Because I know if it were me and you asked me a tough question, immediately I would be reactive. Now I'm getting frustrated. I can feel my heart starting to beat. Now I can't think about what it was that I wanted to say. Now I'm cussing at you, and it's but you can say that's immaturity, maybe, but the fact that you're so collective in how you're thinking in your responses.
I can't, you're right. I can't help it. I'm thinking of the most multifaceted solution approach.
So you're kind of filtering.
Yeah.
Through your education, you're filtering and then finding the best response.
I guess so, yeah. I've never thought of it that way.
Are you educated? Did you go to school and degrees and all that stuff?
I have a degree in biological sciences from UC Davis. And
Bachelor's,
I think
master's?
a lot of my bachelor's of science. And when I went to Genentech, I was lucky enough to get a job in process development, chemical engineering. Mm-hmm. So I got to work with some of the smartest scientists and engineers on the planet.
Were they active or reactive?
Both. Mm-hmm. There was some egos, but just brilliant people, and rational thought process was a big part of my training. Experimental design, logical conclusions, problem solving, opportunity optimization, etc.
Yeah, I'm going to close with this because you've got your meeting coming up here in just a few minutes. I want to close with this, but I had an interesting thing happen. So I go to the Buick store, I go to buy a car, I walk in. I've been working with my salesman for 3 months. So we were lining up all the pieces, making sure that there was nothing on a credit that was going to harm us, waiting until everything was paid off. I wanted everything paid off before, you go into the bank and then they're looking at DTI, and I wanted everything handled. And whereas if you know me prior to that, I would just go and just buy a car on a whim, and who gives a crap, right? But here I am now at this point in my life where I'm thinking about 20 years from now, not thinking about today, right? So I walk into the car dealership and the GM is like, "Hey, can I help you?" And I tell him, "Yeah, I'm looking for Andrew. Andrew, he's not here today, but what can I help you with?" "Yeah, well, him and I have been working for 3 months." Whoa, 3 months? No, hey, today's your time to buy. You're going to buy a car today. He starts this whole thing. I got pissed. I ripped into him, and I was like, "You know what? No." And I told him exactly how, again, there's that reactive, right? I told him exactly what was on my mind. Probably shouldn't. But it created a huge tension between me and that general manager, that manager at the dealership. Now, I still had a good relationship with my sales guy.
Yeah.
But now I didn't want to do business with the dealership because of this. Long story short, so I go into the dealership yesterday, and me and that manager had to sit and have a 40-minute conversation about the situation. And to sit and hear what he didn't like about me, and for me to tell him what I didn't like about him, and for us to work through those problems, it was a beautiful thing. And we're actually now
vulnerability and honesty. You're not hiding that.
Yeah, and then he hooked us up on a really great deal.
Nice.
He took care of us,
right?
And in return, we're going to take care of them with the magazine.
Oh, sweet.
But the bottom line is now there's a relationship forming.
Exactly.
And I love the fact that when you're sitting down with these people, had I had what you have, none of that would have happened.
And there are times, and we talked about this before the radio show, that my job is to sometimes tell people what they don't want to hear in a compassionate way.
In a compassionate way instead of a reactive way.
It doesn't shut them down. It doesn't trigger them.
Yeah.
But that's my job, and it's uncomfortable for me, but it's what's best for the client.
How do people get in contact with you, man?
No, thank you for asking.
Yeah.
I just want to throw out that there's a lot of free resources out there that I've created over the years. If you go to Peak, P-E-A-K, businesscoaching.com, you can go to my YouTube channel, Peak Business Coaching, and get free videos there. You can go to peakbusinesscoaching.com, the website, and there's a ton of articles on really the main things that I say and do to help my clients, and that's available for free. My contact information is there. Feel free to reach out. I offer a free hour consultation worth thousands of dollars, and no pressure, no obligation. I just love what I do, and I want to help more people.
Yeah, I love your demeanor, your tonality, your cadence, the thought. Everything comes out. It's when I speak, sometimes it's diarrhea. And when you speak, everything is, it's like, listen to what he's saying because you're going to learn something. I just having to keep telling myself that. No, it's really. I wish I could afford you. I wish I could afford you.
You will. You're doing the right things.
Yeah, we're getting there.
I'm
man.
Excited for you.
We're getting there. Hey, thank you so much for coming on the program. Absolutely, thank you so much. And the audience, thank you so much for listening. Jim Kaspari here at Peak Business Coaching. Of course, I'm Jon Robert Quinn. And this broadcast was brought to you by Blinds of Sacramento. We'll see you on the other side. Bye-bye.